Good morning, viewers at home. Welcome to the program SuperDawn. I am Vera Super with you on this edition of the program.
And I'm blessed, Omondo said, so good to be here this morning. It's a Wednesday morning in the city of Lagos. Good morning, Vera.
Good morning to you. Good to see you.
Yeah, I'm so glad being here again this morning.
Oh, yes. The president had a speech yesterday. Okay. Yesterday was Democracy Day in Nigeria. We've come a long way, 19 years. Yes, and we're still evolving, I must say, according to the speech yesterday, when the president made mention of democracy, saying it's nascent here. And looking at that word nascent means we're still
at the growing stage.
We're still growing at the tooting stage. But a 19-year-old child should have been grown by now. So we're going to look at some of these things he said yesterday, but we want to look at the side of entrepreneurship. We want to look at you, a businessman. What did you pick from that? That speech is started, he told us yesterday what they've done so far, a scorecard. I don't know what you're going to score the APC government this morning, but the phone lines will be open for us to call. You can call and make your contributions. A lot of people called yesterday telling us what they feel. Some people said, well, we should allow them, while some other people said we failed. But it was like a battle on the stage yesterday with the two guests. Almost want to be physical, permit me to use it. But I hope that won't happen today. And I want us to understand that we want the betterment of this country. I want to see what democracy has done, how well have we fared with democracy. Well, we'll go on this break. Today, we'll review the papers, but not reviewing as in reviewing. We're going to get the headlines. And when we're done with the headlines, we'll hit the screen again with the president's speech. Let's go on this break. We'll be right back.
SuperDawn, your daily live current affairs program, where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed, now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.
Welcome back. It's a newspaper review segment, but today we'll just take the headlines. And the first paper this morning is the Punch newspaper. And this says, 3 states, PANDEF rejects Buhari's water resources bill. And we also have in the papers where a picture story of what happened yesterday. It says here, unprecedented crowd at the 2018 Democratic Day in Akwa Ibom State. Still in Punch, we have Buhari's Democratic Day speech, uninspiring. Hello, coming from the PDP. They said this is not inspiring at all. We have here 20 burned to death in Ondo Road accident. And finally, from the Punch, we have 481 billion budget padding. Court orders trial of culpable lawmakers. That's in the Punch this morning.
Starting off with the Daily Trust newspaper this morning as usual. So many stories here, but I take them one after the other. The front page says, FG, why new minimum wage can't be ready by September? And the rider says, states delay takeoff, seek revenue formula review. And you find that on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. On the head of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, 2019, vote anybody you want. Buhari tells Nigerians. That's, you can find that
very story. Interesting.
Very, very interesting.
I must say.
For the president to say, vote anyone you want, despite the fact that he's also campaigning for...
Yeah, I like the fact that he said so. I like the fact that It's supposed to be like that. It's
Yeah.
not a do or die affair.
Yeah.
It's not a by force thing. It is a will. It's your voluntary. You know, I can choose not to vote for him.
Yeah.
And I can choose to vote for him.
for
So
him.
I shouldn't be pressurized to vote for
him.
anybody.
Exactly. So that's coming from Daily Trust newspaper. Find the story on page 3 of the Daily Trust newspaper. FG raises foreign reserve to $48 billion in 12 months. Page 17 has the story. Adeyeye dumps PDP for APC. Alliance with Fayemi. Page 13 of the Daily Trust has the story. And finally on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, police hurts naval officer over killing of core members. Page 34 of the Daily Trust has the story. That does it for me on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
Okay, we'll move ahead to the Nation newspaper this morning, and it says minimum wage won't be ready by September. Here we have Buhari, vote for candidates of your choice. We took that in the Punch. And we have ex-PDP spokesman Adeyeye joined APC. Former Eagles meet Buhari in Abuja. That's Super Eagles meet Buhari in Abuja today. And finally, okay, not finally, I'll take this one, FEMS. Don't seize patient Jonathan's cash. Finally, in the Nation newspaper this morning, ex-NPDP stops Sarake's trial. Well, get hold of the Nation newspaper and read more.
And started off with the Vanguard newspaper this morning. A quick look at the front page will tell you that there's nothing to look into the paper, but take it from me, there's a lot inside the Vanguard newspaper this morning. But quickly take the stories on the front page this morning. Democracy Day speech, article, Afenifere Ohaneze fought Buhari's vow to deal with herdsmen. Page 8 has that story, and also unprecedented crowd at the 2018 Democracy Day in Akwa Ibom State. And that's what you can find on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And with that, it's a wrap on SuperDawn tabloid review for this morning.
Okay, we'll move away from the tabloid, that's the newspaper review segment. And now we want to move on to our substantive. We're looking at the president's speech yesterday. We'll go on this break. When we come back, we have our guest in the studios. Please stay with us.
SuperDawn, your daily live current affairs program where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed, now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.
President Muhammadu Buhari
IDP camps and has improved the mechanism for the distribution of basic aid, foods, and essential commodities using various strategies in collaboration with local and international organizations. Efforts are in process for resettlement of IDPs in their home communities by providing schools, hospitals, clinics, water, and sanitation to facilitate a quick return to economic activities. Government is similarly implementing de-radicalization and rehabilitation programs to facilitate sustainable peace and development. The unfortunate incidences of kidnappings, herdsmen and farmers' clashes in several communities, which have led to high number of fatalities and loss of properties across the country, is being addressed, and the identified culprits and their sponsors shall be made to face the full wrath of the law. All the 3 tiers of government are presently engaged with communities and religious organizations to restore peaceful coexistence among Nigerians. I want to commend members of the multinational joint task force drawn from Niger, Benin, Chad, Cameroon, and our own country in collaboration with the international community who are assisting in the fight against insurgency in the Northeast. I also commend the gallantry of members of our armed forces and other security agencies that have continued to provide security for lives and properties across the country. State and local traditional authorities are helping with much needed intelligence in this fight against insurgency. This administration is pained over the grievous loss of lives and property.
Welcome back. We want to look at the presidential speech yesterday, the president's speech yesterday, and loads of reaction from that speech. But we have a guest in the studio, Ahmed Buhari, a politician. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Good morning. Welcome.
Yes. What's your take when you listened to that speech yesterday, Democracy Day?
Thanks for having me. So first of all, I think the president reminded us that before they got into office, they promised Nigerians three things: security, the economy, and obviously corruption. And from his own analysis, he did place themselves to have done very well on those three grounds. But I think when we try to analyze what has gone down in the last 3 years, I think it's best to look at the streets. It's best to look at the communities and see what has really changed. How has security improved? And if you look at the security situation, we're not really talking about Boko Haram, but we're talking about herdsmen in a sporadic fashion. So they're not just attacking the northeast today, but we're seeing things spreading towards Kebbi, Zamfara, Benue, Taraba, down to the southeast, Edo, Kogi. So which means it's a spread. So I wouldn't really say they have handled security the way we want them to handle security. For me, it's not a pass.
Okay, I think we need to start from security. You've started from security.
Yes.
If you look at the essence of government is to secure lives and property.
Absolutely.
And that's their primary aim of being in government.
Correct.
We want to look at what has happened. If you look through the Middle Belt,
yes.
You look through what Boko Haram did before they came in.
Yes.
Boko Haram has been tough. But looking at the man, a general,
yes.
was a general in the Nigerian army.
Yes.
Do you think this task is really difficult for him?
Yes, unfortunately. You see, the strategy you used yesterday to tackle some problems may be different from the strategy you use tomorrow to tackle same problems. Because those problems do not just stay the way they are, they actually manifest, they actually improve. So if your tactics do not improve, it's actually very difficult for you to handle those kind of situations. So being a general in the army does not necessarily mean that the tactics have improved. If you look at it properly, he left the army over 30 years ago, which is a long time. A lot has happened from that time. And the way we've been fighting this security situation, in my opinion, has to be handled from a different perspective, which has to do with a lot of intelligence gathering. Right now, we think fighting guerrilla warfare has to do with, force and all, but we have to penetrate these enclaves and understand what we're really dealing with. If we would have to start thinking of how to remove some elements from our system that confuse us as to what we're really fighting with. For example, the herdsmen situation. It could not be that the Fulani herdsmen are the problem. It could just be that we're fighting a militia that we do not even know, that we've not been able to recognize. So this is the time to actually sit down with the Fulani people and say, you know what, can you start moving into ranches so that we can actually deal with the problems that we have on the roads or in the bushes?
Mr. Buhari, let me ask you this. The essence of government, still on security now, security of lives now, the essence of government is to protect the people and their properties.
Yes.
Now, I'd like to ask you, with what is going on in this administration now, do you think this administration have placed premium on the lives of Nigerians?
Well, it's one thing to place premium. It's one thing to say you're placing premium. It's another thing to find the results. Like we've been saying, it's the people are not prepared to celebrate efforts. The people want to celebrate results. And unless we see those results, we cannot celebrate. Right now, we're not seeing those results. The death toll keeps rising. Yeah. The churches that have been burnt, the mosques that have been burnt, the marketplaces that have been attacked. I mean, it hasn't stopped. So there's nothing really to celebrate. And what I'm saying is, if you really want to run an administration that will be successful, if you know you cannot fire, then don't hire.
Okay, we're still looking at security because it's key. I know that administration come and go and spend a lot of money in security when you look at the budget, Nigerian budget. But before we go into the budget, let's look at Boko Haram and the Hidas. These Hidas came in, they invaded communities, destroyed farmlands, and even human beings.
Yes.
The killing has been on. We saw where the Dapchi school girls, some of them were released, and we're still waiting for Lee to be released up till today.
Yes.
And so that's still a question. Why hasn't she been released? What is happening? What are our efforts? These are part of security questions
yes.
that we need to check. But
yes.
Looking at a speech yesterday, is the goal of keeping Nigeria safe, is it being achieved with what the president said?
No. It hasn't been achieved. You just mentioned...
But we saw where some girls came back, after all.
We saw where some girls came back, and when they were being returned, we saw how the captors came to the town square, celebrated with the people, they danced around with the people hailed them, and they left. Which means on that particular day, everywhere was open for them. They can come in, take people they want to take, go away. When they want to return them, they return. In fact, the people were celebrating them. I don't think these people celebrate our security forces the way they celebrated those people on that day. It was appalling. It was a shame that these are the people that we are fighting as a collective people, but we saw the people within those communities celebrating them. So what I'm saying here is that we haven't really gotten it right. You see, I'm going to digress a little bit, and it has to do with the May 30th, which of course has to do with the Masop celebration. The governor is saying that if you do shut your shops today, you're going to lose the shop forever. You see, you're going to lose these people to Masop 100%. If you shut their source of livelihood, they're going to turn against you. If people are not prepared to dialogue, if people are not prepared to interact, if people are not prepared to talk and sit down and understand where it is burning the most, then we cannot move forward.
Will you have a country in a country?
It's not a country in a country, but it is when people are agitating for something. There's nothing wrong with agitations. There's nothing wrong with protests. You cannot be happy about everything. But if you are prepared to come and sit down with me and talk, I believe we can find a common ground. And this is exactly what is missing in our system.
So we need to talk.
Yes.
Now let's look at the way forward now with this administration. This is the third year this administration has been in operations. The president has been in office and all that. Now, looking at the way forward now, what do you think can be done for us to achieve the much needed results in tackling insecurity in Nigeria?
First of all, by now we should have received a good cabinet reshuffle. Secondly, we should get a better body language from the center. If anything is happening in Benue, if anything is happening in Nasarawa, Zamfara, wherever, I expect to see the president there within the next 24 hours to talk with the people. His presence alone there gives them this hope and belief that they have some country that they can call their own. The moment you just feel like the head is not responsible for your well-being, you get disconnected completely, and this is exactly what we're trying to avoid. So the body language is not right. The people have lost hope. There are a lot of people telling you that they want to talk. We can see Boko Haram wanting to talk. We can see the herdsmen wanting to talk. We can see the people in the Niger Delta wanting to talk. We can see Masop wanting to talk. We can see the other Biafra wanting to talk. There's so many people that want to talk. We're not even talking about the pockets and pieces of different people kidnapping people on the roads. They all want to talk. We're not talking about the baby factories in the southeast. They all want to talk. There's a reason why all of these things are happening. Recently, there was a report that came from the South about people actually offering their daughters for prostitution. These people want to talk. There's a reason why these things are happening, and until we're able to bring ourselves down and push away that superiority complexity and say, you know what, let's have a roundtable discussion. Yes, we have our differences, but our ability to manage those differences is what can give us a progression, give us progress on a platform that might benefit all of us as a people.
So you're saying the solution is to sit down and talk?
Like I've always said on this platform, if we don't have a united people, we can have a progressive country.
Okay, but we've sat down before in this country where we had the national conference, and where loads of resolutions, about 600 resolutions about that, came up. What's the outcome of all that? What has it helped us?
So, for example, now I'll tell you one of the problems I have with the confab. When you want to have a sit down like that, you have to be honest about it. You cannot pick people that have been part of the system to come and sit down to proffer solutions to a new Nigeria. There are some people like yourself, like myself, some people on the road that could just be picked and say, can you come and join this process to give us possible results as to what your people want? But we saw people in that confab that we've always known to be part of the system. These kind of results you get from this kind of people after those kind of exercises does not necessarily translate to what Nigerians want. However, I expect that we would have just in the confab begin to see, you know, what are the resolutions there that we want to adopt, how we want to use them to refashion maybe our constitution or our ideology or our mentality or our approach with each other. But all of those things are not happening. So it's one thing to take the exercise, it's another thing to implement the deliverables from that exercise. Okay,
the president also said something while he was talking about the TAC, that's the Treasury Single Account.
Yes.
He said that that has really helped in the elimination of ghost workers. Well, we've gained about 2 million from that. He also talked about whistleblowing, 5 million now from that. What would you say?
Personally, I like the TSA. And yesterday I was on another platform and we were talking about the TSA, and I said it's a fantastic idea. I like the fact that the previous administration, you know, initiated this, and I'm excited with the fact that this present administration is upholding it. But what is most important here with regards to the TSA is the fact that we now have a collective account where where everything comes in. But the other problem with it is that it has now slowed down projects.
Maybe I'll hold you on there, and when we come back, you tell us after the caller, you tell us the problem with it. Well, hello, good morning to you. Sorry for keeping you waiting.
Good morning, ma.
Good morning to you. Go ahead.
Okay, we are very happy with you people, what you people are saying. The thing is that all we are saying is not giving us any result. Pertaining to what the government, the president said yesterday, all he said there is no sense in it. In Nigeria, we have no security. They are only securing the cows and the herdsmen. The citizens are not secure. And he's not concerned about the citizens. He's only concerned about the herdsmen and their cows. The life of the citizens means nothing to him. He's believing as if he wants the citizens to die more so that the population will be less. It's really not giving us hope.
Okay.
I wonder where we are going.
Okay, thank you.
Come back the next time. That means Nigeria, half of Nigeria will go. Because in his tenure, we have lost more than millions of people. Then what will be our hope for his next tenure? And I thank the people saying all that they are saying. They are really saying the real truth. But the thing is that they are not giving any ear to what they are saying. So thank you.
Thank you so much for calling. Your thoughts, I guess, yes. But you were telling us the challenge, or you want to react to what she said?
No, I mean...
you want to add to what she said?
With regards to the TSA,
yes.
What it has done, it has slowed down the process. So I took a survey around secondary schools that are run by federal government, and now the teachers, the schools actually go through a lot of trouble just to buy chalk. For example, this is because even if the chalk is being exhausted, because the monies are not being put in those petty cash accounts that you used to have before to run for running costs, you have to wait for this monies to be disbursed at the end of the month. And sometimes some supplies end up before the end of the month. Now you see that there's a slow process in trying to achieve some of the nitty-gritties that will have to happen within our system. Not just on schools, some projects on the road, if you see some construction workers, they will tell you, we haven't received the next batch of money. So I'm not saying it's not a great, fantastic idea, but what I'm saying is the process, the system has to be improved in such a way that the disbursement of these funds can be as quickly as possible so that nothing is being stalled just because we want to have a collective account.
Okay, maybe I need to give this figure out where the President gave yesterday. What we've gained so far from this TSA and from other things, he said, as at 2015, we had 29.6 billion only in the account. But right now, we are having, that's 2018, we're having 47.5 billion. Don't you think that has even helped to increase our monies?
I don't really care about these figures. Like I said to you from the beginning of this discussion, I said, what I'm really concerned about is what is happening on the streets. What you see the people going through. Has the lives improved? Do we have more jobs? Are people losing jobs? What is happening in schools? Are the results getting better? What is happening with power? What is happening with security? How the infrastructure, the roads, are they better? Do we have lesser accidents now? What is the Nigerian man thinking? See, let me just be honest with you. The one reason why Nigerians are still calm and we're not seeing the kind of craziness that we will probably be seeing is because of betting centers. When you go to betting centers, you see thousands of Nigerian youth queuing up just because they believe that if they're throwing 500 naira, they probably get 2,500 naira at the end of the day. If somebody doesn't win, his friends will actually win and then say, you know what, let's go and have lunch together. I swear to God, this is one area that Nigerians are actually taking solace. How disappointing.
Okay, Mr. Barry, still on the TSA, the TSA was proposed by the former administration of Goodluck Jonathan, and the essence of that is to curtail corruption in Nigeria. Now, let me ask you now, with the essence of this TSA now and with the figures that this current administration has claimed that they have been able to achieve, do you think we are winning the fight against corruption?
I think we are. I think we are on one front. But the front that I have a problem with is the fact that we've not been able to get back those funds that were stolen from this country. So we're talking about the judicial process that is not in tandem with the executives, not in tandem with the National Assembly. Unless we are able to find that synergy between these three arms of government, we don't seem to be making any headway, especially on corruption. So I expect that by now we should have been able to find the executive, finding a way to have a common ground arrangement with these other arms of government to say, you know what, we should be on the same page on this fight. Their inability to have, because look, politics is all about lobbying.
Yeah.
It's all about consultations. It's all about disagreeing to agree and find a common ground. The fact that this administration hasn't been able to achieve that, I have a big problem.
Okay, so still talking about corruption, he said in his words that they were able to fight corruption headlong. The words of Mr. President yesterday. And he said we should support this fight against corruption with what we've heard so far. Some people brought in money, some monies were put in some places. Do you think we've not done a bit better in that area, not done well?
You know, if you tell me we had 29 billion in the account, now it's about 50-something billion. 42 point. What is the money doing in the account? The people are going through a lot here. How are you supporting small, medium business? How are you supporting small businesses? How are you ensuring that people are not losing jobs? How are you ensuring that you're protecting the face of Nigerians, not just within the country, but outside this country? Those are the areas that I want us to focus on. Those are the kind of things that I want us to look at. And so, even if it's the corruption we want to focus on, we must ensure that whatever monies that we're able to make, we're able to use them for the people. What are you keeping the money for?
Let me hold you on there. There's another call. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead.
We are talking of corruption. How do we say we are fighting corruption when the president can pay billions of naira without normal forces? So the man is against his corruption and is supporting corruption as well. That's all I can say.
Thank you so much.
We cannot rule this country further. Otherwise, we are entering into a final stage of life.
Thank you so much. Your thoughts. He also talked about power, and I'm going to read this one out from Mr. President. He said, in the area of power generation, Nigerians from all parts of the country continue to report better power supply and less use of generators. This underscores the effectiveness of the methodological plan to deliver uninterrupted power supply to all homes, markets, offices, and factories.
Good luck to those people that have lights. I mean, congratulations to them.
Yeah, let me tell you again, he said the country achieved 5,203 megawatts, representing the highest peak of power generated onto the national grid and delivered to customers in December 2017. with these new facilities, repairs and rehabilitations by government and private investors, generation capacity now exceed about 7,500 watts.
And I still came here and I had your generator on. So congratulations.
Okay, he talked about also, maybe I should just go straight to that, because you two want to come up.
Yes.
To be in that position Mr. President is right now.
Yes.
He talked about not too young to rule bill. That will be signed in a few days' time.
Yes.
What's your take on that?
It's a good thing, you see, because for me, my biggest worry is that we're actually running a generation of people that feel there's no need for them to be responsible. You see, that thought of responsibility is missing in my generation. A lot of young people from my generation don't feel the need to actually participate in politics, in governance. They don't even know the nitty-gritty. They don't even know the fundamentals that involves running a country or being in a system that is going to run a country. And this is what we're saying. If anything happens tomorrow and we're being given this responsibility, what would we do?
Hold it, please. Sorry. Hello, good morning to you. There's a call. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. My name is Awali. I am calling from that program. Hello? Can I speak on? Okay.
I don't know.
Wally, please, you like do what to call us back. We can hardly hear you.
Hello?
Yes. Is Wally there? Okay. So we're talking about not to run to rule
Not
bill.
young to run bill, yeah.
Will be signed in a few days' time.
Yes, it's going to encourage more young people to participate. And this does not necessarily mean that they're going to, win elective offices. But the mere fact that they're participating gives them that feeling of responsibility. I'll tell you one big problem. If everything is going to continue running the way it's being run now, for example, by the time we made our declaration, a lot of people thought we were mad. A lot of people thought we didn't have any ideas. Imagine people asking me, how many arms of government do we have? And I'm like, are you for real? Of course I know that. So they just believe that everybody from a certain age downwards has got no clue that we're the generation of musicians and footballers. But it's unfortunate, because if you now sit down with us, you now realize that we are the ones who actually put these documents for these people together. We are the ones who even advise them on what to say, how to say these things, and how to run their government. Unfortunately, they decide to choose what they want to choose and what they want to leave behind. But in all of these discussions that we're having, I expect that Nigerians should start building themselves towards a time when our primary focus will be to listen to what these people have got to offer, to listen to what these individuals who want to run for political office have got to offer, not just deciding to choose people based on how much money they're ready to spray or their age bracket.
Okay, well, let's have this caller. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Wally. We can hear you.
Yeah, I tried to call back.
Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to say that we need to.
What's wrong with Wally's line?
Hello?
We can hear you.
Yeah. Yes. He has done very well. From the day he entered the office, let people have to decide why they foresaw that he will never do well. But with the attitude of man, that man who has done this, keep him kudos. But I am a young person, and I'm learning every day from kind of old man. Then, giving ability to think properly for the institution, which is something for us. Then, the issue of when the man has done well, let me give an instance. If you have drugs in the hospital, and government has this much drugs and it is used there in Nigeria. But when money is not taken care of you, and the money is taken away, and they're not blaming you.
I don't know why your line is breaking, but...
Another thing is the issue of security. Now, if the state, let's take us for instance, having a problem, maybe it's affected by drugs and all that. Do we blame the president of being government? Now, because this is
Wale, I guess, but I know what you're saying, but maybe something is wrong with your line, I don't know, but I heard what you said that the president has done well. Okay, go ahead. It's clearer now. Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah, I said what I'm saying is that on the security, each state governor must be held responsible for whatever happens in their state.
Okay.
I am living in Lagos. I trek from Sokoto to Akota where I work. And I can tell you that I don't have any problem. I've been using light in my house throughout the night.
Really?
Even we are now the one guilty because most of us won't be never. The truth of the matter is, if the man has done well, we should take him kudos without condemning him.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wrong.
Yes. Thank you so much, Wale. You heard what he said.
No, I didn't. That call was very
I think
bad.
I got some towards the end. He said if the man has done well, we should say he's done well.
Yes.
And he feels the man has done well.
Yeah,
in some areas.
and in the areas,
there's power, there's electricity.
That's why I said, when you ask me about power, I say for those people that have power, congratulations. And for those who do not have power, I wish you the very best. I hope the power comes. And I also spoke about,
But I think this power should spread around.
Yeah, well, I spoke about security, and I said to security, look at the indices. Well, we spoke about what else did you speak about, and then we're going to be honest. You talk about TSA, and I said TSA is doing fine. I just mentioned a few places I think it needs to be improved upon.
We'll go on this break, and when we come back, we'll continue with this discussion. Let's go on a quick break. We'll be right back.
Garlic contains a compound called allicin, which has potent medicinal properties. Garlic is a plant in the allium onion family. It is closely related to onions, shallots, and leeks. It grows in many parts of the world and is a popular ingredient in cooking due to its strong smell and delicious taste. This compound is known as allicin and is also responsible for the distinct garlic smell. Allicin enters the body from the digestive tract and travels all over the body where it exerts its potent biological effect. Garlic is a plant in the onion family, grown for its cooking properties and health effect. Garlic supplementation is known to boost the function of the immune system. Studies shows that a daily garlic supplement reduced the number of colds by 63% compared with placebo. Cardiovascular diseases like heart attacks and strokes are the world's biggest killers. High blood pressure or hypertension is one of the most important drivers of these diseases. Human studies have found garlic supplementations to have a significant impact on reducing blood pressure in people with high blood pressure. Effects on longevity are basically impossible to prove in humans, but given the beneficial effects on important risk factors like blood pressures, it makes sense that garlic could help you live longer. The fact that it can fight infectious disease is also an important factor because these are common causes of death, especially in elderly people with dysfunctional immune systems. Garlic has known beneficial effects on common causes of chronic diseases, so it makes perfect sense that it could help you live longer. Garlic was one of the earliest performance-enhancing substances. It was traditionally used in Asian cultures to reduce fatigue and enhance the work capacity of laborers. The last one is not the health benefit, but still important. It is the fact that it is very and easy to include garlic in a current diet. It complements most savory dishes, particularly soups and sauces. The strong taste of garlic also adds a punch to otherwise bland recipes. Garlic comes in several forms, from whole cloves and smooth pastes to powders and supplements like garlic extract and garlic oil. The minimum effective dose for therapeutic effect is 1 clove eaten with meals, 2 or 3 times a day. However, keep in mind that there are some downsides to garlic, such as bad breath. The active compound allicin only forms when garlic is crushed or cleaved when it is raw. If you cook it before crushing it,
Welcome back. Welcome back. We're still continuing with the program, but joining us this morning, we have Sowore Omoyele. He's in the studio, a politician. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Thank you. Good morning.
But I guess you listened to the president's speech yesterday, Democracy Day. What will you take out of that speech?
Nothing. The president didn't say anything new. It's just a stark reminder that the last 3 years has been wasted in Nigeria by the ruling party, that is the All Progressives Congress. So the president is just trying very hard. The only significant thing he would say, which I might just say is a little significant, is that he said, you know, young people will be allowed to vote because it's going to sign the not too young to run. Which is, apart from that, you know, as you can imagine, yesterday was like a sad day in Nigeria. Nobody celebrated democracy. We're in Abuja. Nobody cares anymore. People have become very cynical about democracy because they thought the last 3 years would give them a different lease of life. It didn't happen. So I'm sure that the president himself must have been shocked by the deaf silence and very critical analysis of his speech. Nothing to write home about. Okay,
but maybe we should start from the beginning. He talked about security, and he said they're going to fight security, and the fight of security headlong. That is not going to allow that, and we need to support. What do you think he has done so far when you looked at the Daptic girls?
They told us that they will fight Boko Haram within the first 3 months of coming to power. The president did not appoint ministers for 6 months. And that plunged Nigeria into a recession and later on a depression. Right now, Nigeria is proudly announcing to the world that it will grow its economy by 1.9%.
Yes.
This is just, I don't know how to describe it, but you know what? They've done their worst in the last 3 years, and it is time for us to start thinking about how to finally retire them out of office, and that we will do next year.
Well, you also said that the inflation rate is declined.
Where did they get the figures from?
Yes, Buhari. It said the inflation rate is declined.
Well, you can, like I said to you earlier, you can say anything you want to say, but at the end of the day, the best results can be gotten from the streets, from the markets. When you go to the market, you ask the people, have you gotten the price of things come down? I mean, when they came on board, the price for a bag of rice was about 7,000 naira.
4, 5, 6.
Yeah, within that first 1 year of the administration, it went all the way to 24,000 naira. Now it's about 14,000 naira. They expect us to celebrate. What are we celebrating really in reality? So for me, the best results can be gotten from the street. Like I said, you cannot expect people to celebrate efforts. People want to celebrate results. And if that results are not being perceived by the people, then there's nothing to be excited about.
Okay, let me ask you, he also talked about the whistleblowing that has made us, we've generated 5 billion naira from that.
You said 500 billion.
Yes, 500 billion from that.
The question is, where is the money being kept? Who did they get the money from? You don't just whistleblow on someone and you don't know who the money came from. And even when you play bargain in a legal case to return loot, your name was written somewhere. And they promised they'll release the names of all the looters. The only thing they did was to release names of people who have disagreements with them. So, listen, we've gotten to a point where Nigerians will start thinking critically about the next steps on how fast we can get them out of the way. There have been a clog in the wheel of progress in the last 3 years. Everybody has come to that final agreement. They talked about security. Boko Haram has become even more emboldened. They should by now have an embassy for a diplomatic representative of Boko Haram in Abuja so that they can be picking up their checks on a regular. We paid them 5 million euros in the last 3 years. They have even become so bold that they can go and pick 104 girls, drive them back after the negotiation, and even address the villagers there to warn them not to send their children to school. Herdsmen are all over the place on rampage. There's nothing that was there before they came that has improved.
Are you saying they've done nothing? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying there's nothing this administration has done?
You know, I'm not just sitting in front of you. You know, I'm a media person too. So it's my job up until a few weeks ago to actually report on achievement or non-achievement of government officials in this country. And the results are there. We do investigative reporting on Sahara Reporters. We've revealed how they're dishonest about anti-corruption war. They claim to have fought corruption or fighting corruption. All the corrupt people who are members of their party are having a good day. The ones that are not party members are the ones that they're hounding all over the place. That is not the kind of country we want. You have someone like Obani Koro, who was indicted in Ekiti Gate. He's back on behalf of the APC as the main operational person to help them with the election in Ekiti coming up very soon. That tells you the hypocrisy, the dishonesty, and the disjointed nature of their achievement, that you can't, even if you put yourself, you can't find it. The achievement they have is something.
Hold on a bit. I'm going to get back to you. There's a caller. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can you please turn down the volume of your TV set, please? Yes, good morning to you. Go ahead.
I have done that.
Go ahead.
Good morning, panelists.
It's great.
Morning.
May the Lord bless people for discussing Nigeria.
Bless you too.
We are praying that by the grace of God, Nigeria will be a good country. And then as we discuss positively about Nigeria, let us also know for sure that only God can lead us. And we need the youth on the board. Let us retire all these old men from our politics. And I'm sure that Nigeria will be great again.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Can the youth take over this
Absolutely. Except this is for the young people to take. This election is it was going to be a walkover if two things happen. If youth can shake off their complacency And secondly, there can be some kind of unity amongst all the young people who are running to say, hey, you know, here it is. We have a lot of candidates out there. Let's support one person. I'm not saying only one person should come from the constituency of young people, because not all the young people who are running in the interest of youth. You know, as you know, there are irresponsible adults and there are also very reckless young people in this country. But if we can decide, 70% of the population of Nigeria, even by their own admission, are young people below the age of 35 or so. And you're talking about almost 80 million people right there who have reached the eligible age of voting. You know, so if we decide, if the number of Nigerian youths on Facebook decide to vote for one candidate, the person will win by landslide. You know how many people wake up every day in Nigeria and log on to Facebook? 20 million Nigerians. The last election was won by how many millions? So if a candidate can get just number of Nigerians on Facebook, the election is over. In fact, I am very sure that it will be very clear pretty soon. The handwriting will be clear on the wall that somebody might be stepping down who you would think will be running, because it might just be time to go back to London and start taking their normal treatment, because the election will be a big disgrace to the ruling party. So
it sounded so easy. This coming is around the bend, 2019 election.
Yes.
Are we really ready?
Yes, I think for someone like me who started this whole thing around 2016, because at that time I could actually see very clearly that it didn't seem like the administration was going to take us to where we wanted them to take us to. And at that point, I needed people to realize that we needed to wake up this, you know, consciousness in our minds to understand that we've got something to offer. But, you know, a lot of young people still do not believe in themselves. And the mere fact that they don't believe in themselves, they don't want to believe in any other person that's young like them. Yesterday, I was with another reporter, and he was asking me very clearly, don't you find it funny that many young people are coming out? And I said, why would I find it funny? I mean, you're still within my age bracket, but you don't see the possibility in this happening. So what I think really we should be focusing on right now is to see how we can send a message to these young people and show them that we have the capacity to actually deliver. So for me, I've come to the point where I want to stop talking about the problems and start talking about the possible solutions. Solutions that can actually be workable, actualizable. So there's one thing to identify the problem. We all know the problems. If you call 20 million Nigerians that want to speak about the same things in the same way, what I really want us to focus on right now is to see how we can get people talking about what they can do to rectify the current problems. If we don't have those kind of solutions, then we're not moving any forward.
Okay, I remember that year when we contested the last elections, loads of people decided that they were tired of the previous administration and they voted in this government. What made them just lose hope so soon? It's just 3 years.
Because, yes. I mean, you know, if there's going to be progress, you will find empirical evidence of progress. And like I said, they started failing from day one.
Why did you say that? I'm going to hold you on there again. Yeah. I'll allow you. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
This is Andy Priest calling from Asia.
Okay.
Gentlemen, my greetings to all of you. I want to say one thing in this country. We are living in our country, Nigeria. I want you to go home with this. Buhari is not a bad man. But we are the people to watch out for. He came with good intentions, but our cabals turned him to be what he is today. I want you to understand one thing. Boko Haram is not the issue, it's political. What is happening today is the way you lay your bed so you lie on. When the past administration was in power, hate speech was not good. Why hate speech today? Because people come out to speak the truth. Let him face so-called henchmen.
I think you need
that is another menace we are going to face in this country. Face it.
Thank you, sir.
Why is it that since all these days, they don't prosecute people who stole money? When election period come up, they come with that. They don't have solution for this country.
Okay, we can take more of those things. Thank you so much. Yes, you heard him.
You know, I'm tired of people saying that Buhari had good intentions and some cabal is derailing. You cannot have good intention on one side and you are responsible for implementing your intentions. And then you assemble another set of people. You call cabal, we call cabal, and they are derailing the intention. You don't do anything about it. You are the bad person if your intentions are derailed by bad people who you elected or you brought into office or you brought with you to power. They are his baggage. He's the one who brought them. I would want to believe that Buhari may have not had the capacity to run Nigeria, and he showed it very early. He even said it in South Africa that if he was younger, maybe he would have performed. But I doubt that even if you gave him this position when he was 20, he would be able to.
Why did you say he wouldn't have performed if you had this position a few years back before now?
Because it's very clear that he didn't do anything to show that he even had any antecedent that showed that he's capable of resolving the kind of problems that he was confronted with. And that's why you hear people repeating the same thing on TV all the time about, oh, he had good intent. What's the meaning of that? How does that translate to, ending hunger? How does that translate to bringing us electricity, jobs, improving the health sector? The man doesn't even believe in our doctors. When he's sick, he flies to London. When they found people who were corrupt in his government, he refuses to fire them. When we revealed that the chief of army staff was buying houses in Dubai, they kept them, they hid them, they covered all these things up. Buhari is a person who is very cunning.
You mean President Buhari?
Yes, President Buhari. Not this. You're not the Buhari. And I'm sure this must be haunting you a lot. I'm so sorry about that. But he's a cunning man. That's what I have
Your
seen
thoughts?
about. Yes, that's what I've known about. And I've covered most presidents, and I know characteristically when I see a very cunning person.
Okay, that's your thought anyway.
Yes.
But he said something when he started his speech that this democracy is nascent. What's your word for it?
How can
Are we not 19 years?
No, there are democracies that started a few years ago that are doing better. There's nothing nascent about democracy. The problem with our democracy is that we have not had a chance, or we have refused outrightly, and we should blame ourselves for it. We have refused to elect competent people to lead us. We keep making the same mistakes. And that's why we have come, as young people like us have said, you have a chance, this final chance, to move in a different direction. Do not put back into power another incompetent mediocre to run Nigeria, because Nigeria is not going to make any progress. And we just have a bend to turn. And that is that right now we are living the internet era. We are living the digital era. We are going into artificial intelligence. And people who are not even street smart or street wise cannot lead Nigeria. Like I usually describe, the present crop of leaders are like Nokia 3300, and Nigeria needs to be moving at the pace of iPhone X.
but we seem to be missing this point. It wasn't President Buhari that started this administration. I'm talking about democracy. It started a long time ago, 19 years ago. Why are we putting all the buck on him?
Well,
yes.
you can shy away from putting the bulk on him because obviously he's the president currently. But see, fundamentally, it's okay for people to think he's honest. It's okay for people to think that he's got bad adjutants and what have you. But like I said earlier, if you do not have the capacity to fire, do not hire. And this is one of the problems that this administration is facing. I expected a reshufflement on cabinet. It's all right for you to start on the wrong foot, but the people want to see you start making the relevant changes that will give us the kind of results that we want to see. But when we do not see that, we get really concerned, we get really worried. And right now, my people say Friday that would be good, you start getting a vibe from Tuesday, Wednesday. We don't see it happening. So the same thing we said about the previous administration under Goodluck Jonathan. Oh, he's a fantastic guy, he's a good guy, he has the people at heart. But we saw incompetence, we saw the inability to actually drive the system. So what we are saying right now is, look, it doesn't matter if you're good or not good. If you cannot give us results, there's nothing for us to celebrate. We cannot keep celebrating efforts. What do we want to celebrate our results? So for me, it doesn't matter who is in charge or who isn't in charge. It's just about what the people on the streets are feeling. So you talked about inflation, and I'm telling you, people are still hungry. You talked about improvement in the economy. I'm telling you, people are still losing jobs. So what are we talking about? How are we moving forward?
Okay, maybe I should read this yesterday, part of his speech. He said, homegrown school feeding program. He said about 8.2 million people are currently being fed from 24 states of the Federation, with over 75,000 catering staff engaged under that program. He's feeding people.
Again, you cannot defend things like this. When we talked about data and say if we don't have proper data management systems, you can't seem to run this country. It's the same problem we're talking about here. So now you're saying you want to take up on a feeding program, and you can't even tell us how many people you're going to feed just next year, because you can't tell us how many people are going to probably be in school.
But they've fed us. They've told us the people they fed already about 8.2 million.
But there are no verifiable results for this.
Pupils.
They just figures. We can't verify this. In Lagos here, there are lots of kids still going to schools that you can't really tell who's feeding them.
And beyond that, what is their own budget compared to the budget of Aso Rock for feeding compared to the school feeding budget? And secondly, you see so many of these kids, they claim they're feeding. They don't even have tables upon which to put their plates. They sit on the floor. So their priorities are wrong, and it is because of incompetence. I am not sure that President Buhari knows what is going on in this country. I'm not sure. I just think they're just shoving him around, you know, and hoping that they will use him to gain power. And when they gain power again, they will just package him and take him to London to go and rest for a long time. There is a group of people who are using him, and I'm sure he loves being used. And they are all part and parcel of the people dragging down the progress of this country. That is the bottom line here.
What will you have done differently? Because we must wrap up now. What will you have done differently?
If I was being empowered in the last 3 years, by now there will be 45,000 megawatts of electricity from solar energy alone from the northern part of the country. I would have finished the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway in less than 3 months. By now we would have finished the one from Ilorin, we would have done Kano, Kaduna, and we would have had train by now almost reaching Calabar. I mean, the early stages will not be clearing ground on even the rail line that they promised. With the salary they promised workers, they've been negotiating for 3 years. They are now saying that it's not possible to do again until September. This is not a government, people. Don't let us keep deceiving ourselves. Here is it. Let's just forget about them. We have a chance in a few months. And I have presented myself to you people that I can do better than these guys in my sleep. I'll repeat it again. If I'm sleeping, I can run this country better than the present crop of leaders.
What will you have done differently?
So for me, I want us to reduce the kind of promises we make to Nigerians, because there's a whole lot of mess going on in the system. What we're appealing to Nigerians is to start looking for differently. Like he mentioned quite clearly, we need to start taking another bend. And we would have to understand that if Nigerians want the kind of democracy that they deserve, they should be prepared to pay for it. Preparing to pay for it has to mean you have to participate. Preparing to pay for it has to mean that you have to come up with ideas. You have to support people that are trying to run. You have to listen to the ideas that they have and see if they're going to be actualizable, realizable, and smart. For me, right now, the country is on a downward spiral, and I expect that we get more young people running for offices, because just running for the office of the president is not sufficient enough. We need about 505 people running the National Assembly. We need about another number of people running for state governors, another number of people running for the Senate and House of Reps. These are the kind of people that can work with us to see how we can achieve all of the plans that we do have.
And I want to say with due respect to Buhari that my position on things I can do, the promises I make, they come with guarantee, warranty, and insurance. And that's my character. I've been around doing this for 29 years.
Okay, finally, let's hear what advice you have for the people, the electorate.
Electorates, you have to obtain your PVC. In it has your next bridge, your next school, hospital. You have to ensure that you vote and you protect your votes. And you have to make sure that you vote for people who are capable. Vote for Omoyele Sowore as the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, so that by next year, you can at least be sure that you have a president who will do what he has said he would do. And who is better to do it is the guy who's been doing it for 29 years. Starting from the University of Lagos here, we will take it and make sure that every corner of this country experiences a fresh lease of life in a few months from now.
Your words for the electorate.
So it's okay to talk about you today, even if I haven't paid for it.
No. I just say your words for the electorate. You just chipped it in.
It's fine. I would say vote for me, vote for Ahmed Buhari. The reason why we're pushing this is because I'm the first person that started this whole push for young people to emerge, even though we've actually said that age is not a function of good leadership. But what we do believe can give us the kind of country that we deserve is to try something new. We can't keep doing the same thing over and over and expect a difference. So thank you.
We want to thank you for coming, Sowore and Sowore Omoleye. politician, and also from a Sarah reporter. Thank you for coming. And also Ahmed Buhari, thank you so much for coming, politician. I wish you well. I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Well, viewers at home, up next is SuperDawn Sports, and the Super Eagles are visiting Abuja today. We'll be right back.